Greetings to all and welcome to my channel. I thank you so much for taking the time out and joining me on this rather important topic. Is child abuse legal in India? Is it permissible by the law? The title might sound alarming and disturbing, but if you can be with me through this video, I'll explain what makes me feel the same. As Mahatma Gandhi had said, the true measure of any society is how it treats its most vulnerable members, especially its children. And today, it's unfortunate that I have to make a video asking whether abuse to a child is permissible under law in India. At the first glance, if I ask you, is it legal to abuse a child in India? Your answer is going to be a firm no. India has laws, policies, and institutions that claim to protect children. But I want to share with you my own real life experience, not as a lawyer, not as an activist, but as a father. At the end of the video, you might find yourself asking the same question I've been asking for years, not out of doubt, but out of disillusionment and lack of hope. I have broken this video into 5 segments for clarity and for better flow of the topic. Segment number 1, the beginning, 2012. As you all know, and I had mentioned in my previous video, so I'll quickly go through this part. My son, when he was just 2 years old, was diagnosed with a congenital hole in his heart. It was a terrifying moment for any parent. At that time, my wife and I were separated that time itself. I turned to Bangalore Family Court seeking access to ensure my child's safety and his medical treatment, as she would not let me get access to my own child. Instead of cooperation or concern, I was greeted with false allegations of domestic violence and dowry harassment. My entire family, my now late parents, my sister, my relatives were dragged into these absolutely stupid, fabricated cases, all while our son needed urgent surgery. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Martin Luther King Jr. 3 years passed before the surgery finally happened. 3 years of legal harassment and distraction while a child's life hung in the balance. No accountability, no consequences. I would like to ask you, does this qualify as child abuse? All right. Segment 2. When the law sees but does not act. When I finally reached the Supreme Court, the judge was stunned. He saw through the delays and ordered for the child to be brought to Bangalore for surgery immediately. But since ego was more important and the child knew she's losing the case, and since Miss Harleen Singh knew she's losing the case, she did the surgery in an urgency in Pune and proceeded for the surgery without informing me, that is the father of the child. As per medical protocol, both parents must be informed before a life-threatening surgery. But the mother and father, that is Miss Harleen Singh and her father, had mentioned to the surgeon that the father cannot is not interested in the child's well-being, and we contacted him, and he's not willing to acknowledge it and accept it, so please go ahead without his cooperation. This is the answer that I got from the surgeon when I visited him in Pune, when I came to know about the child surgery being done in a rush in Pune. This manipulation was not just against me, it was an act of emotional violence against the child, who was taken to the operation theatre without proper emotional preparation and parental support. Segment 3: A child silenced by trauma. As the child was not prepared and dragged into the operation theatre, after the surgery, something even more devastating happened, which was expected. My once verbal son stopped speaking. He turned dumb. He developed a condition called selective mutism, which is a psychological response to emotional trauma and stress. You can search on Google. Selective mutism happens due to trauma and stress. Rather than seek therapy or acknowledge what could have caused this, and for once take accountability for her own wrongdoings, the mother manipulates the medical situation and suddenly claims the child is autistic, as she knows if it comes out as selective mutism, she is the one going to be held accountable for causing the trauma to the child. But again, she changes the medical details and suddenly makes the child autistic. Now, please tell me, is this not child abuse? Is this okay by the law to play with a child's life for the second time? Let me be clear, my son was not born non-verbal autistic. He became mute due to neglect, due to fear, and due to trauma, all caused by Miss Harleen Singh. But no accountability, and law has absolutely no need for, and in law she has absolutely no accountability for her actions, as they don't seem it necessary to even ask her why this happened. When a child loses his or her voice, it is not just the speech that is taken, it is their very right to be heard. Segment 4: Desperation and a Risky Reunion, 2022. In 2022, I met Miss Harleen Singh again in Bangalore. She said she has come down for a meeting from her office. I knew the legal system had failed my child. I knew that if a mother is abusive, I had no realistic way to prove it, as the legal system does not find abuse by a mother abuse. So I made the hardest decision of my life, and I suggested we live together again, just so that I could be with my children and rebuild their lives. Sometimes a father must risk his own peace just to give her children a chance to healing. I enrolled the children to the Indian public school Nagwara, as the school was known for its emphasis on emotional wellness and not only academics. The teachers were compassionate, understanding of the child's situation, and the children slowly began to heal. My elder son, who was once silent, began speaking, and he represented the school at the Model United Nations in Coimbatore. This shows what good care, nutrition, and concern can do to a child's well-being. Segment 5, Recovery Cut Short, 2024. In 2024, the abuse resumed, which was only for the children earlier. Now I faced daily verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse, violence I am even ashamed to describe here. For my safety and for my life, I was forced to leave my own home, a home that was built by my life savings and loan. Miss Harleen Singh and her parents till date continue to illegally occupy my house, and I have no access to my own house as her father and mother have illegally taken over the house. Still, because I knew there is no care and concern for the children, I used to send food every day, as I had arranged a tiffin for the last 1 year. Otherwise, the children were hungry and their nutritional needs were not being met. They were highly underweight, and even basic milestones are not met, and delayed development, delayed growth, stunted growth. I continue to pay the fees, pay the school fees, arrange the food, and continue to meet the children. But the children, scared, traumatized, conditioned, and out of fear, stopped speaking to me. I went to the school to meet them, but no use. The teachers noted a decline in the children's emotional health once again. The children cannot heal in the same environment where they were broken. And then came the final blow. Miss Harleen Singh forced the school to remove the children despite my objections and even without my signature. She threatened the school with legal consequences if they do not give a TC without the father's signature. The school, fearing escalation, had no choice but to issue the TC. This is the same school where the children finally started developing, started talking, and started having a normal life after many years. Segment 6, Misusing Law, Masking the Truth. Soon after removing the children from the school, Miss Harleen Singh approaches Family Court Bangalore once again, claiming she has no money to pay the fees, and that makes me wonder, why would she remove the children from the school when the father is pleading for their wellness and saying please continue in the same school, and now stating I need 1.5 lakhs a month for their food and education, the same education which he took away from them. And this has happened in the past too. Even if money is given, it does not reach to the child. It continues in her own savings, in her own development, and the child remains traumatized, threatened, underdeveloped, nutritionally deficient, and dumb, unable to speak. The worst form of abuse is not just what is done in shadows, it is what is sanctioned by silence. So I ask again, is it legal to emotionally, psychologically, and developmentally destroy a child in India just because the abuser is a mother. Because that is what has happened. So I would like to close this and have a call to action. Where is accountability when a child's life threatening surgery is delayed? Where is the accountability in the legal system if a child's life is being played with? When emotional trauma causes selective mutism and it's covered with lies, is that allowed? Is the child continued? Is it okay for the child to continue in the same environment which has caused him this condition? Justice delayed is already justice denied. But for children, justice denied means a lifetime lost. If you are a child rights activist, a lawyer, a therapist, or an activist, and you believe that no child deserves to be broken by the very people meant to protect them, please reach out. Help me bring this to the notice of the right people to get my children a second chance at life. They deserve a life of dignity, of respect, and of health. Because if India's legal system can't protect a child from prolonged harm, then we must ask, what is the value of our laws if not to protect the voiceless? Thank you.